to Colorful Foresight, where we intuitively connect from within. And it's woo woo time, where we connect our woo woo into our mundane living. The universe, enlightenment is for now versus later. And let me pull my banner out. Remember, Angela has on YouTube, Dance with Angela. She had weekly videos on how to dance, connect to love, different series all the time. Series, yeah. And we'll go a little bit more about it. Just want to let you know that this is all for entertainment purposes. We're just having fun talking. It's all about connecting from within and having the woo-woo life in our mundane living later. We talked about how some of the political psychics, like I follow, she follows some of them, not all of them, like, Linda G, Sterling Psychic Medium, Eldor, and the like. There's others. There's Lena Rodriguez. There's Marion in Australia. There's just so many. They saw a certain vision, and then it switched, where Biden handed over to Kamala now versus later. And a lot of them have theories that the timeline shift or acceleration for our highest good. So when I talked to this psychic yesterday, she doesn't watch political psychics. She's not even paying attention to that. And remember, every psychic, that's why when you go to too many psychics, you can get confused, even if they're really good. That's why you're not supposed to go to so many. And she was ready to move to Canada. Because she saw that being the way she said it. Now, it doesn't mean that I think, her answer the way, and that's all it is. It's just interesting to see because, after 30 years, gone to enough psychics, you have to still leave it with a grain of salt, even when they're very good, readers, because they're constantly changing. There might be different timeline of reading, or maybe we're involved with things like that. So the political psychic, she felt not that Joe's going to win. Felt like we were not going to win. And so she was happy that Kamala came in and that Grace came in and all that. So what do I make of it? I saw it differently, but it doesn't matter. The fact that the energy changed. And I just did a reading with, you ever heard of Third Eye Champagne, Kirsten Lang?
I know the name, but I haven't watched Kirsten. I know the name from other channels.
Yeah, she's the one who introduced Linda G.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know her.
I done a reading with her today. Not a reading, like a collaboration. I emailed her, and I actually asked her about doing a twin flame reading.
Okay.
And also a collaboration on twin flame. And she asked me a political question. So those you will see on her channel, Third Eye Champagne, in a week. She told me I could then post it on my channel.
Okay.
But so anyway, when I went on live, when I was on her it was pre-recorded. So she asked me questions politically, and I did mention about, I feel like the reason why a lot of political psychics it's not that they were wrong. It's all about interpretation. It's because they were the protection factor.
That's one of my questions I asked.
Yeah. So the question that Angela had was, it's a little windy, but I'm getting to it. So she asked me, why does spirit stop us seeing things like some psychics and intuitive didn't see Biden stepping aside now? Why are they protecting us, or what are they protecting us from? And then the other one will go after. I mean, if we go logically with protection, and also we could get in the way, because if the spirit guide have told me maybe the worst case scenario that Julie saw or anybody else saw, some people can't handle it. It doesn't matter if you're that person who give good or bad news. It's too much. Number two, it could also be that if I saw that Kamala was going to come now versus later, I would have been like, no, I want Joe to be in it. He worked so hard. Like, we could get in the way. No, that's logical. So, and then I'll ask the card.
Yeah, because I want to explore that. Like, how do we as a collective, our negative thoughts or our doubts, or like, oh, if the worst case happens, how does that impact now? Last video we were talking about the power of now, or the
If the worst
conscious,
case, if the worst case scenario happened,
like our fears about that. Like, if we knew, if spirit showed the psychics or intuitives,
yeah, the
Kamala's
what?
going to step in now,
Because there
and
might be a chance that Joe loses. Look,
and
yeah,
our fears started, like if spirit showed us what was happening, and our fears and our thoughts and our, oh no, I don't want this, I want Joe, I want, how does that affect the reality of the future? How does that affect?
but that's why really, like, if you go with like we have an avatar that and the life follow, even though there are like mystic and they can predict the future, and there's certain things that are very faded, there is that now consciousness. So we could get in the way of that. So if they had triggered out fear, are we able to focus on what we actually want to see? So, and also it's protection from, I mentioned this with you, that anything that's not of the light watching the political psychic, they're getting the information, not for them to know. It to say the universe, the benevolent universe saying we could outwit you 20 times more. And we're giving grace to humanity, that kind of deal. So that's why I feel it's not just about the interpretation, because that's a big factor. It's all about interpretation. And also it could be the timeline shift, some say, or the acceleration and protection. Um, but it's really sometimes as um, as people seeing and looking into things, it's not our business.
It's not our business because we would affect the outcome.
We affect, especially if you're given like bad news or potential. And also, they always want you focused on. They want you to tell you like it is, which the political psychic do. And there is their job to say everything's okay, stay calm. But it's also, important to vision that even when there's a risk of it not happening.
So, would you say that the spirit is protecting us from our fears manifesting a negative reality?
Yeah.
And do you want to pull any cards on that? Like, what are we actually doing now as psychics, as a collective, or intuitives as a collective? I know you said that one of our jobs is to help people stay calm. I do something else, so I help people connect to their heart. That's my work, which is different. It helps you strengthen your own connection to the universe, so you don't get caught up in all the garbage and the
Yeah.
fears and
Yeah,
the.
because it's not about like their job is to keep us calm and give us like it's all going to be okay. But we also have to realize that like sometimes you're here, Mel say you still got to vote, you still got to do this. This. So, but I got the big reason for that timeline shift or whatever we call it. It's protection. They're not meant to see that, because it's like we want to keep that good vibe and that good thinking going because a lot of people were stressed. I think it's very murky. We're in a murky area now. So that's the spiritual protection, not just from our fears, but also like talking about it. So, and also like, again, even as open we are as spiritual beings, if the universe is going to provide new energy, as much we think we're open to it, sometimes we're not. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I would
Why
been
are we
like,
not
"Well,
open
why
to
didn't you
new
give it to
energy?
him? Wait till let him win, and then give it to Kamala. I don't want you to give it to Kamala now." Even like the first few days, we were pissed off with the Democrat elite and all that. Look what happened now. The energy is so great, so we could get in the way as well. So why are you laughing? Tell me.
Because I want to know why humanity's not open to new energy. Like the new energy is here, and we're like, no, 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 I want this, I want that. And we're fearful, and we're full of our doubts and criticisms and judgments. Like, why are we not open to new
You
energy?
think we are,
Can you pick a card around that or two? We think we are, right?
Yeah.
We think we're open. We think we're right or
But you
just,
think
or
that who? Oh wait, who didn't comment? Sorry.
we have
Finally, our
one.
first female president from the guy who cheated Hillary kick his butt. Amen. One. Woo!
Yeah.
Well, that part of the protection from those type of people from peeking on those political psychic giving information, who work with energy and weird crap, um, not to know ahead of time. And the universe, the benevolent universe, like chess game. You may have, there's just like the dark and the light. You gotta. It's not a bad thing, right? It's just what it is. But it's kind of like now the former guy and the like Russian leader and those type, they don't know what to do. 'Cause the universe just did a checkmate, change the dynamic. Why suddenly all these young kids want to vote for Kamala? Why all these Republicans that are for Kamala? Like, what is all that about? So there's a bigger picture, especially
Mhm.
after what one said with this. But it's not like it's just, yeah. We could have had a female president sooner than later, but because of, I guess, lesson and stuff like that, it didn't happen.
Because of lessons. Because
Lesson, like he came in for a reason too, the
oh
former
yeah.
guy. But maybe if there was a certain lesson we didn't have to learn, then Hillary would have won.
So
Saying,
there could be some more appreciation of the lesson that he's taught us, and
well,
appreciation of um, that the universe has got a higher understanding. For me, the psychics and intuitives could do more like you do. You get more into what is the role or the lesson that this guy is here, or Kamala's here, or Biden's here. Um, what are they trying to move us towards in the new era?
yeah,
What is political enlightenment? Like, I get that you don't like people, but for me, because of I teach people to connect to their heart. If I constantly in a state of, yeah, I don't like this person, and it doesn't really do much for
you
our
know,
forward
I think,
movement.
yeah, just seeing like the MAG, I call them MAG Republican. I don't feel like they represent the real Republican. Like neither side are perfect, but it's just like there's something. Like we know that the former guy was a lifelong Democrat. He's just probably doing this because he's getting paid. He's been given power. He's been they saying, "I'll give you power and I'll give you money." So he would have done it for either side. That did that. But what I got at the masculine, feminine, we're seeing like all these women energy being removed. So we're seeing our judgment because
Mm.
even though it happened to be the MAGA, the Republicans are not always wrong. So when there was a fight here and there, you could see their point of view and the right point of view back and forth. So a big one is the judgment we have, especially in everything, but especially when it comes to men and women. For some reason, we're working through that,
Okay.
especially in the USA with the masculine thing. Like we never had a female president. We're supposed to be the United States is like supposed to be like the lead of the world, and we haven't had a female president.
Astrologically, there's a very strong Cancerian energy. I forget where it is in the USA chart of the modern USA, not the indigenous Americas, but the modern USA. So there's a lot of um, the mother in America has a certain role. That's where you see like the JD Vance sort of perception of a woman at home raising children, but his wife works as well, and I don't know if she's working now, but that traditional mother, the apple pie kind of mom that makes the apple pie, that's a very strong feature.
Right.
Um, so that's interesting because the mother, and if we can look at like one thing I like about the US compared to Australia, where I am, is that the woman is sort of more adored, whereas women in Australia are a bit more get to it, get working, and do 10 jobs and just put up with it. And they're not sort of called such lovely names as in America. Hi, Fatima.
Yeah.
So that's one positive aspect of the feminine, but I feel like that Statue of Liberty, the woman that can really sort of call on our moral consciousness, that might be bringing that's another aspect that's coming forth. And then, if we're looking at the new era, Sylvia, the roles of men and women won't be so important. We'll be looking at each other like the Aquarian age.
Right.
It's
It
not that
might. It is.
we're losing gender. It's actually just not judging the gender.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I think that gets lost in the whole transgender discussion, because it's actually about an elevated concept of humans, which is Aquarius. It's the water bearer. So we're not judging
And I
who
think
you
that
are.
goes back to like the political cycle, why they didn't see um that it's not it's not it's kind of like going back to um the new energy thing. Like, even though we thought we were ready for new energy in the beginning, we were like kind of hesitated when Kamala came in. But
Mm.
look what happened. It ended up being way better than we thought. Like, have taken over the Republican Party, that even the Republican Party not recognizing and being humbled by that. The reason why the Republicans fight that, because that happens on the left too, with certain countries that became into dictatorship because of the far left or far right, whatever the reasons are. But yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, the political psyche on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris built to great protection. That's what I get. We could be. I am very grateful for that shift that happened.
And we can build that in our personal connection to the divine. We can build that bond. We work on our bond with the divine. That's what
Right.
helps me more than anything in my life. It saved
Yeah.
my life, basically. And
And yeah, yeah,
we can focus on that for our countries. Like, if we focus on that, the spiritual people, maybe they're not the doers and they don't manifest all the money and the relationship and the blah 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 factors of success in our world. Who cares? I
right,
don't.
right.
Um, but maybe the spiritual people, their role is to focus on the protection for our countries and for your families. And we underestimate that in our culture, I believe. We
Mm.
need people like you, Sylvia, like you helped save my life, because you focused on me being happy and being with my partner in joy.
And that's because of my relationship with the divine,
Yeah.
and also my love for you. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you mean this is possible? Oh yes, I'll definitely do it. Because actually, it's because if I would like maybe didn't care about you, I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
you want me focused?
Okay.
But because I like, I was like, wait a minute, it feels different. It feels like it's not wishful thinking, even though I'm still like, I don't know, is this possible? This would be. I knew it could be a major breakthrough because the fact that you're like getting the last right, and I'm getting this insight, and I know it's not wishful thinking.
Mm.
But I'm like, how is that possible? So that was so important. That has helped me, even with like watching the political psychic. But I saw myself like when that shift happened, I saw my personality go, well, I want Joe. I want Joe to stay. Why are you having Kamala come in? Like, so it did taught me. It taught me a lot of different things.
I'm just going to bring up Marianne Williamson here, because I think she's sort of a representative of what I'm talking about in terms of foregrounding spirituality as a new value in the modern world. It's certainly spirituality, not religiosity. Spirituality is a strong value in certain cultures in the East and certain countries like Tibet, or Bhutan, or happiness is very strong in Bhutan. But Marianne was really important in the conversation in um, both the 2020 and the 2024 presidential candidate um, primaries, because she foregrounded spirituality And Andrew Yang did too, or happiness. Yang was like, we don't need to keep measuring our world by gross domestic product. And I feel like the spiritual focus, that focus on grace, it's finally through people like Marianne, Andrew Yang, and even Kamala just being a happy person.
But you know what's
It's
funny? 2020, I love Miriam, but I didn't like her for 2024. I felt like she got a little,
narky,
yeah. But that's okay because she's a human
bitey.
being. Yeah, like I didn't understand her, this time. But she doesn't mean
I think
nothing.
that's our projections on, like, that's us, I feel like, because I saw that narky energy and I went, oh, what's that? But
Mm,
that's us sort of, that's she's a reflection of us. Those
mm.
candidates, we need to start talking about that more. If you want, Sylvia, it's up to you. But for me, that's a big thing. I mean, psychics don't talk about it enough. The moon card, the moon, anybody who uses the moon card should understand that that person or any part of the reading in the moon that is showing you the dark or the shadow is a reflection of your dark, your shadow. Our teachers, CCC, whenever you criticize, judge, or blame another, that is a reflection of something inside of you that needs to be looked at, your shadow, your negative programs, your darker thoughts, your hurts. It's such a underexplored element in the political psychic spectrum,
Yeah, but you
and I
know what?
really
You know what? Speaking of Marianne, she might have possibility, not now, to have her voice heard now. When it was just pre Kamala, with that energy, her energy was not what was needed. It was too, like, she was not taken seriously, and it's kind of like now with that shift, the acceleration. Maybe if she wanted to, after, like, that kind of the Department of Peace that she talked about, and all those conversation pieces will be heard more going forward. But before that, it's just with too much of a gap. But
right.
she was
So
important because she was throwing it out there.
yeah,
Like for 2020, I remember what she did. 2024, I didn't hear her because feeling her snarkiness, like her disappointment or trying to fight to be heard. And I was just focusing on, like, okay, right now we need this guy. This where I just want him to get rid of the former guy. Marion, I didn't feel like she had enough energy. So it's not good or bad, but it's just like I went from supporting her to not supporting her, but liking what she was talking about.
yeah, yeah. And so we need to well, like, I feel like the psychics could explore that's more of interest to me. It may not be of interest to other YouTube watchers, but how are they a reflection of our collective consciousness? Because I'm more of a collective reader. Like, I read the energies of the collective versus this president or this person is X or Y. What is that reflecting in the collective?
I
If we're
mean,
going to transition, the grace is to help us grow as a species, not whether someone's good or bad.
well, think about it. She's offering, well, why don't we do Department of Peace? Why do we have Department of War? So that how she's putting out there what is the possible. Probably been like that in other society that live a they didn't have that warlike thing. Cause then you have like certain mythology where they had warlike thing, but it's depending on what story or what society we're talking about. Different. Cause the universe is old, right? It's so many different themes. But Marion brought the world kind of energy, which is
Okay.
more, more of a nicer, well-rounded possibility. But it was just not there. But now I feel like she would be able to be heard with this acceleration with Kamala in it.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what our hopes and fears how it'll work with the grace. How
You know
it'll,
what? I could vision Department of Peace. You just made me realize, why don't I envision that?
okay. Our
I don't
Department of
even know
Good
other
News.
stuff. No, like, see it
You're
suddenly
the
like
you're the
that.
Department of Good News.
Maybe NATO go, let's develop a Department of Peace. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah,
That'd be fun,
that'd
right?
be different. Spiritual people have to pray more. or focus on it more, like you're saying, Department of Peace. Because when I've done it with other spiritual meditators, all we see, it's just like King Arthur and the Round Table. That's what we envision. We envision all world leaders, whoever comes to your consciousness. It doesn't matter, because at the spiritual level, they're just a being of light.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've got negative programs that they're processing for the collective, but they're still a being of light.
Right.
So we just envision they're all around the round table coming together and coming into a conversation, and it's easy. Whereas that's not been, I don't see that talked about on YouTube much. I do it in my other spiritual groups and in my own prayers. I was trained that way. But you can see it in history where it happened organically, like ultimatum type. That's what we see publicly. We see the ultimatums, but we don't know how people negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually look at people who do conflict resolution, they're incredible the way that they
Like they don't
get
judge,
into it.
right?
Yeah, and if you think about a divorce, a mediator has to get into a room with two people that have got a lot of hot buttons, a lot of hot passion, and you have to have them actually converse or come to agreement, or converse to come to agreement. So that's, if you think about world leaders, they're doing that all the time, and they have to, we pray for oneness consciousness when we pray for the world leaders. That's a whole different consciousness. So the new energy, the grace that is being offered to us now, because we're connecting to it when we pray for the oneness, it doesn't exist in the collective. It comes up every now and then. And even like what I see, if we're talking about grace versus our hopes and fears, when you see peace in the world, or peace talks, or there's a lot of cynicism. The human collective is very, very cynical. That's what we were talking about earlier. Like, how do we become cynical and we destroy the outcomes with that cynicism? And that's what us spiritual folks who pray, we're combating all of that negative cynicism. We're holding the vibration. That's why your channel, the Good News channel, the Department of Good News, you're holding a space for us. And I tell you, don't I? Like, oh, I didn't think about that. Now you're helping me focus on that
Right.
versus most of the other social media.
And it's not
So we can also, on the topic of spiritual grace, we can also, if you do align with certain politicians, and I'm sure people are already doing this, but this is what spiritual people pray for, the highest good of all people. You don't focus on party, but that's up to you. I mean, I can't
no,
make
no.
you do that, but yeah.
I already shared an example. Like
Yeah.
in oneness, I mean, the first few weeks, I was like, I'm not gonna pray for the former guy and the Mike
I was
Johnson.
just saying to the viewers, if anybody's watching the video,
Oh, just for
but
US,
that's,
but if you're in Australia, you have to pray for
I don't even know who I'm
nobody.
praying for. I don't know what
Well, that's
party they
it.
are,
Yeah,
which is
some
really
people I didn't
good.
know, but some of them were obvious. I was like, oh no. But now I'm like, okay, I why that's not my place to um prevent that. And I'm not doing anything. We're letting the light to do it. It's not like I'm doing spiritual work or I mean I'm doing energy work or anything like that. So we're not taking it on. And maybe those prayers have helped it shift. Maybe the great came in like,
Maybe that could be the Department of Peace. Like, we just do it through prayer until a real physical Department of Peace comes. We focus on a Department of Peace, and
you might have you might have somebody who's not working for progress suddenly shift and end up being part of Department of Peace. You don't know.
yeah,
Also, it could be us, like me, healing enough to listen to the divine without arguing with the divine. Go, okay, you want me to ask the light to go to this person? Um, our shift helped the collective too. So Fatima saying, "I believe in the power of prayer."
yeah, I do too, Fatima. Very, very much. Basically, when I was in I don't know when, what one period after I got out of hospital, I got the message to pray and dance for the rest of my life. And that's it.
And we would try and complicate it. You're like, that's it? No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need a job. Okay. And
Yeah,
then
be
I tried to get a
aggravated.
job and they stopped that.
I get to pray for like the awesome end result and dance. Why am I complicating it?
Yeah, I did. But I did go and fight divine and I did complicate it and I did try to get a job and then they didn't make that happen. And then they even broke my computer. They did all sorts of funny things. It was hilarious.
And not only
Yeah.
that, you got a another way of getting income without going to
Yeah.
jail.
Yeah.
Take care of
More
that.
than one way, actually. Yeah. Yeah. But I
But yeah,
fought. I made it complicated. My personality did. And then I
yeah,
got back to simplicity. Yeah. So, and that's
like
the
like
other thing.
yeah, like that psychic that told me if you want to be in a relationship, you can already. I'm like, what? Yeah. Even the money block, she goes, the money block it doesn't need to be there. So funny. That's the same thing with we're going back to political psychic. Why they didn't know ahead of time. Maybe we get in the way.
That's as
So it
simple
comes
as it
down to
gets,
and
isn't it?
protection as well.
Well,
What you
thank
guys
you,
think? Let
Sylvia.
us know.
Yeah. Fatima says that the prayer works for her. So that's I guess the bank of confidence too in the divine, like the grace. You watch the prayers coming to fruition, to reality, and then you get that's for me, my bank is believing in the divine and knowing the divine's always got my back. And because I get the evidence
The
that
evidence help. The physical evidence help. Um, yeah. It is one of those topics that go on and on, but are you guys gonna watch it for 2 hours? No, you're not. Tell the truth. So we're gonna end it here. But Angela have things to do too. So
you do too.
I
Thank you,
yeah,
Sylvia.
I have things to do. I'm going to bed because it's nighttime for me. It's morning for you, or early afternoon for you in Australia. So take care. The funny.
Yeah.
Take care, Fatima.